Welcome to the Get Wealth Show, where we uncover the secrets to building real wealth through real estate from the people who have actually done it. Each episode gives you proven strategies, modern market insight, and actionable steps you can use today to build wealth through real estate investing. Now, here's your host, Michael Hoang.
Welcome back. I'm Michael Hoang, and today I am thrilled to introduce our guest, Joe McCall. You know him, you love him. This is the dirt man himself. Joe McCall, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Michael. I'm doing good. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I remember watching your content, I don't know, 7-8 years ago whenever I was just getting started in my real estate journey, and I can't believe we got you on the show, man. It's like crazy that I'm interviewing you here, brother.
Well, I'm humbled. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so Joe, you've been in the game for, I want to say 15 years. Do I got that right? Wrong?
Yeah, maybe more. I got started buying education, like learning and studying, 2006. So 19 years ago. Then I quit my job in 2009. So that was when I went full time. And at the time I was doing lease options. And I was flipping lease options, as doing lease option assignments, or I called it wholesaling lease options. And doing that part-time allowed me to quit my job because I was making more money doing that part-time in 2009 than I was in my full-time engineering job. And that's when quit my job in 2009. It was really unique, different what I was doing. And so a lot of people started asking me to teach them how to do what I was doing. So I started selling a course on how to flip lease options in 2010. And 2011, I started my podcast. So yeah, I've been at it a little while here.
Yeah, you have been at it a little while. So the industry's changed a lot over the years, but do you remember like the first deal that you did?
Oh, 100%. I tell you, I remember my first real deal because I talk about this a lot, man. I was a professional student for 3 years. And I was spending way more money on my education than I was making. And then I decided I just needed to learn. I was buying bad deals, stupid deals with bank financing and putting 20% down on these, 25% down, borrowing a bunch of private money. And I was buying these properties to turn around and rent them out either as regular rentals or as lease options. And I was getting maybe a few hundred a month in cash flow. And at the time, everybody was talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You just needed 300 of these homes and you would escape the rat race, right? Like, maybe not 300, you need 100, but still that's a lot. It's really hard to get to. And every one of those single families that I owned were complete nightmares and hassles, and any cash flow I got, it was disappearing to maintenance and repairs and vacancies and damage that the tenants would do. And so I learned pretty quickly, I don't want to be a landlord. It's not my gig. So then I needed to learn wholesaling. And I remember at the time, because I had bought a lot of courses and did a lot of coaching and stuff. And I remember looking down on wholesalers as like, they're not real professional investors. Those are like beginners, late night infomercial, get rich quick guys. And I realized now that's completely false. And at the time I was hemorrhaging cash. I needed to learn a way to make fast money because I was losing my house to foreclosure. This was in the market crash. So I needed to make money fast. And so I was looking at all these wholesalers. They're making $5,000, $10,000, $3,000 on a deal just by getting it under contract and selling it. So I said, all right. And by the way, I just signed up for a couple programs. One of them was like a $13,000 program. I bought it on like 3 different credit cards. It's funny because looking back, they asked me like, how much do you have on your credit cards? And it was about $13,000. Oh, but yeah. So we have a program that's $13,000. So anyway, I fell for it, I guess. Nothing wrong with the program, but I didn't do what they said to do. And at the end of the 6 months or so, I looked back and I didn't do a deal yet. And I knew I was smart enough to know it wasn't their fault. It was my fault, right? Like they told me what to do, but I just didn't do it. So, but I was frustrated. And I said, all right, I'm going to buy one more program, but I'm going to do what this guy says to do this time. And the guy, I bought this program. It's a friend of mine. His name is Chris Chico. He's still in the business out of Florida. And he had a course called Absentee Owner Profits. And it was all about sending cheap, ugly postcards to absentee owners and getting them to leave a voicemail and sending them calling them and talking to them, making them an offer. And so strategy still works today. But this time though, I did that and I said, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to do exactly what he says. Cause I thought I knew so much up here, but I really didn't. And I remember getting the list, sending it to the zip code that I wanted to be in, and getting not very many responses, kind of complaining about, oh, it's too competitive. Even back then, right? I was complaining that it was too competitive. People always complain about something too, by the way. They'll complain that there's too many sellers, there are not enough sellers, or there's not enough buyers, or the market's hot, or the market's cold, or it's flat, or whatever. My market is different. My market is different than everybody else's market. So that's kind of where I was. But I thought, I'm just going to trust the system. And I sent out postcards. And I did get some calls from this one lady who owned a property about an hour and a half outside of St. Louis. And it wasn't even the properties that I was sending her mail about. I wanted to buy some of the other properties she owned closer to the city. And she said, no, I don't want to sell those. I told her I'm not interested. She begged me to make an offer on these properties. It was a 3-family. So it was one house with 3 apartments in it. And I said, no, I'm not interested. She called me like 2 or 3 times, begged me to make an offer. I couldn't get comps. I didn't have any buyers, way out in the sticks, like maybe 4,000 people in this city. And so I did go out and I could see that it was listed the year before for like $140,000. And I said, all right, fine. I'll make you an offer. I don't know, $50,000. I just pulled that number out of the air, 50,000. And she said, okay, fine. When can I get my money? When can I sign this? So then I went into freak out mode because like, oh my gosh, this isn't supposed to work like this, right? This isn't supposed to be this easy. Like I'd never done a deal direct to seller before like this. And because before all the deals I bought were with realtors from the MLS, going through traditional bank financing and all that. So I'm freaking out and I pull out his course and he says to use this 1-page contract. And I said, and at that time, that was the one time I did not do what he said to do. I decided I was going to get a fancy, sophisticated, complicated 8-page contract. And I studied that thing. I poured over it. I added so many different contingencies in this thing. They probably canceled each other out. I was nervous because she was an old lady. So I made sure her son was with her. And then I met her. I wanted to meet her somewhere in public. She signed the contract. She asked for $1,000 earnest money deposit. So I actually gave her $1,000 in cash when she signed the contract. That's the stupidest, dumbest thing. Don't ever do that because she could just walk away, right? But I didn't know. So I gave her the $1,000 earnest money. And then now I have this contract I don't know what to do with. It's $50,000. I don't know if it's a good deal or not. So I'm freaking out. And I go to the course and he says, put some bandit signs out there. And again, I'm thinking bandit signs don't work. Everybody's doing bandit signs. But I put one out there and I got flooded with calls. I decided I was going to try to sell it for for $65,000. And also too, by the way, this is when you're selling a deal, like you normally, when you're selling a rental property, you need to give the new owner the leases on the property. You need to give them like any rent rolls, whatever. And so like this lady had no leases on any of these tenants. She collected rent every week with cash. And some of these tenants, this was like not even Section 8, but this was worse. It was like she would come and knock on the door every week to get the cash. None of them had phones. You literally could not call them to try to schedule an appointment to go inspect the property. So I couldn't go in there and inspect any of these units. And so I put a sign out there for $65,000. This realtor calls me and says, yeah, I have a client who's interested. Now I'm freaking out again. I was like, oh no, a realtor's involved. So I said to the realtor, listen, I don't know what I'm doing, but I got to be honest with you. I don't own this property. I hope it's all right. And he's like, that's fine. I mean, like, why are you selling it? And I said, well, I don't want it. I have it under contract and I just want to sell it. And he says, all right, well, my client's really interested. Can I get in and see it? No, I have a little problem. I can't get in to see any of the units. I can't get any of the rent rolls and I can't give you any of the leases. And it's just, I just can't. The owner doesn't have it. And he says, oh, well, you don't own it. I said, no. Well, and then I said, I hope this is all right. I have it under contract for $50,000. I'm trying to sell it for $65,000. And he said, no problem. That's not my buyer. This is a good deal. My investor, my client has a bunch of real estate in this area, in this small town. And I said, well, okay, I don't have a title company this far out. And he said, well, just use ours. So I said, give me their names and call. So I called him and I said, hey, I got this deal. I hope it's all right. I have it under contract to buy for 50. I need to close in 20 days. This other guy wants to pay me 65 for it. And so I don't know how this works. And the title company, I remember so clearly, they were like, relax. It's okay. It's not a big deal. This is a cash transaction. There's no banks involved. It's don't worry about it. I was like, really? I don't have to worry about it? And they said, no. So I said, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to trust the process. So anyway, 2 weeks later, they closed. I made about $13,000 on my very first wholesaling deal. And I really considered that my first deal, because that's when I really just took massive imperfect action, not knowing what I was doing, but I trusted the process. I trusted the system, and it really worked out. And it was a great deal. I wish I would have got a copy of the closing statement. It was a wire, but that was my first real deal that I ever did. And it got me so excited, because now I remember this clearly, because I always would watch the gurus and the guys doing the webinars or the boot camps, and they would show pictures of these checks that their students would hold. And I remember thinking two things, like, I can't wait for that to be me, because I want to have my first check like that. And then the second thing is, I want to be able to help people get their first check like that. And I don't know why I was thinking that so much at the time, but I was so excited when I did that first deal. I realized, oh my gosh, this actually works. All of those late night infomercials that I watched, and all those boot camps and the books and the courses that I bought, it's real. It actually works. I was excited. And then that's when I kept on doing a bunch more deals. And that's when, about a year later, I decided I'm going to actually teach this stuff and help people do deals as well themselves. Does that make sense?
That's a powerful story, brother. I love what you said about how the system works and that you trusted the process. I like to tell people the system works if you work it.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to come out of anything if you don't follow the system, the process, put in the work, and do the steps. I love that you didn't even own the house and you didn't even know if you could sell it. That's
I was worried I was making too much profit. I was worried, what if the buyer finds out I'm making 15 grand profit? What if the realtor finds out I'm not licensed? I don't have a realtor license. I don't own this yet. Even back then in 2008, like, there were still rules and laws against wholesaling. There always have been. You can't broker without a license. And so I'm kind of freaking out about all that, even back then. But like, I just, you know what? I'm just, screw it. I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to let somebody tell me, no, I can't do it. And I saw, this is my kind of thinking, has always been kind of this way. If that ding-a-ling can do it, then I can do it. Doc, why not? If Chris Chico, who's got this funny accent from Puerto Rico, who sold this course, if he can do it, I just trusted him. I believed that he could do it. And thank God I did, because that just totally changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah. And I like what you said about your skepticism of bandit signs. You said everybody's doing this. It can't work. It's just too simple. I get that feedback from a lot of new people all the time, is everyone's doing it, or it's just too simple. I don't understand it. They're trying to complicate something so simple. But I tell them the point is, those bandit signs cost money. If everybody's doing it, it must be working. People are making money and reinvesting in their business and marketing. Today, we might use something different than bandit signs. I don't use bandit signs anymore. I'm real big on direct mail, and I do a little bit of text blasting, but it works.
Well, especially for finding buyers. It really, really works well for finding buyers, whether you're doing land or houses. It's just one of those things that, I don't know, people think, I don't know, it's the fact that people, well, I don't know, you just got to sometimes, again, suspend your belief and suspend your disbelief and suspend your skepticism, because if you just trust us, how do you know unless you do it, unless you try it? I was sending this, even at the time, I remember thinking absentee owners, that everybody's mailing to that list, right? Postcards. Who would ever answer these postcards? Who would ever read them? Why wouldn't they just throw it away? Because that's what I do. And, why would anybody like call a phone number that says 24-hour recorded voicemail on that thing? But dang it, I did it and it works. And there's another time I remember just a couple years later, I'm doing my podcast, maybe 3 years later, maybe 4. I'm doing my podcast and I am interviewing this guy who talks about how he sells his deals. And he says something about doing these when he's got a deal under contract. He just sends a handwritten yellow letter to the nearby 20 to 30, 30 to 50 other investors who have recently bought land or houses in that area. And it basically, he's saying, you know what? He's pretending that he's this desperate, motivated seller. And I got to sell my land now. Please help my property. I got to sell it right now. Please help. I'll take anything. And he sends those out and he consistently gets calls and he sells almost all of his deals with this letter. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. You know what? I just said, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. He says it's going to work. I'm going to do it. And sure enough, it's been one of my favorite ways to ever find buyers, just sending out. Now you may think that's stupid. No, everybody's doing that. Or why would anybody do that? That's dumb. That's embarrassing. I don't know. But like, who cares? It works. It just really, really does work. And you figure that out by taking massive imperfect action.
Yeah, I love that, Joe. I got a funny story to tell you about how I got started in houses. And you and I have talked before about how I'm not as hot on houses as I used to be. And we'll talk about that in a minute, what I'm working on now. But, when I started doing houses, I went with direct mail and I used a mail house based out of Dallas. And this guy was setting up my mail for me, and he was helping me scrub the list and pull the data and find the hot spots. And when we went to do our second batch of mail, I said, can we find some new areas to market to? And he said, sure. Do you want to learn how to do it? I said, yeah, why not? Yeah, let's teach me how to work this data. He said, watch this video and do what it says to do. And it is a link from like 13 years ago from a Mr. Joe McCall of how to find zip codes in ListSource.
I remember that video. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so it's kind of funny that 7-8 years ago, whenever I started buying houses, I was using your instruction just from my mail house guy. And it worked. We went where the fish were biting. We went where people wanted to be. And
I still do that strategy today. It still works on ListSource.
Yeah, on ListSource, it's amazing. And if you guys are curious, just go to YouTube and type in like Joe McCall, ListSource, zip codes. I think if you just type in those keywords, it'll come up.
I'm doing that right now.
His beard's a little longer. That's how you'll notice it.
I was about 40 pounds ago too.
And it's funny, the house that I'm standing in right now was supposed to be a rental property. I've told this story before on other podcasts, so I'll condense it here. But the house I'm standing in right now was going to be a rental property. My wife and I were house hacking in our first house, buying rental properties. And we didn't move into this one until the cash flow from the other ones could pay for the mortgage here. And I used private money to buy this house, and I bought it right. And it was at a zip code where your process showed me where I should be sending letters. We buy the property and we end up moving into it instead. And so it's kind of funny that I'm standing in a house now from a process that something you've learned and you taught.
That's amazing.
What was it, 12 years ago?
Yeah. And I do what I do teach as well. I often say I teach what I do and I do what I teach. The house I'm living in now, we bought through the marketing that I do and teach through Zillow. It was a for sale by owner. I texted the owner. I said, hey, would you consider maybe leasing your house for a year or two and then selling it? And he said, yeah. So I texted him. He said, yeah. I went and looked at it. And so I bought this house with a lease option. And then we did owner financing. And then I eventually got a traditional mortgage on it right before the rates went up. And yeah, so it's simple. Like this stuff that we teach, there's a reason why we do it. It's because it works. And because I've taught so many people over the years how to do real estate. I know what works and what doesn't. And it's like a lot of this stuff, like that whole thing with ListSource, I learned that from one of my students. I don't even remember who it was, but I saw them do it and talk about it. And they said I was on a coaching call and they said, hey, did you know you could do this kind of thing with ListSource? And I said, no, show me that. That's so cool. So then I did a video and tens of thousands have seen that video about how to find those zip codes using ListSource. And now there's other tools that do it faster and easier, but that's crazy.
Right. There is a lot of other options out there, but it was amazing that it cost you $0. You didn't even have to buy the list, and you could look at where investors were making cash transactions and find the zip codes where you want to market. I
Yeah.
thought that was the sharpest thing on the earth, and I've taught that many times to many other people. And
That's crazy.
we have a wonderful house today, thanks to you, Joe.
Awesome.
All right. So what's your business look like today? I mean, you've been in the business a long time. The market's changed a little bit. You've changed your strategies and focus. So tell us what your business looks like today.
Well, I about 5 years ago, I started doing land instead of houses. And the big reason why was because I wanted something that I could do with my teenager boys. So I have 4 kids and we homeschooled them. Our daughters are going to private school now, though. My boys they're done with school. I wanted a way to do real estate with my boys and teach them how to find deals. Well, the problem with houses is they're complicated, a lot of competition. You have to talk to sellers and negotiate with sellers. You have to understand ARV and repairs and all of the complexities that go with a house while you're trying to negotiate with a seller that, is hundreds of thousands of dollars into the property. They've lived there for 20 years. It's their grandma's property. They're getting a ton of calls and offers from other people. And so it's very competitive. You need to be good on the phone with sellers when you're dealing with houses. And you can't just send them an offer. You got to talk to them first. So I through my podcast, I remember interviewing this guy. His name escapes me right. Todd. His name was Todd. And he started talking about vacant land flipping, and he was able to quit his job after doing land for about a year because he was buying land and selling it on owner financing. And I thought, that's interesting. And I started getting some interest in land, started studying a little bit, and I had some other friends that were doing it. But it was Todd who really kind of opened my eyes to it. And so I bought some books. I started listening to podcasts about land investing. There was one guy who had a book. I've never heard of him before, never met him, never seen anything he does, but it's got this weird book. And he's got to be in his 70s or 80s when he wrote this thing. I mean, the English is bad. How he found somebody to print this book for him, I don't know. But it was a really good book. And he talked about how he did land deals while living in Asia somewhere and in the US. So I started looking into it, and I started doing land deals myself a little bit. And then I decided, you know what, I'm a big fan and user of this software called FreedomSoft. And at the time, FreedomSoft was mainly just for houses. So I started customizing it, though, to use it for land. And I went into it with the mindset of, I want to develop a system that this gets kind of done for you in spite of you. And so I knew how to get a list of vacant landowners. I knew where to find where all of the landowners were actively buying properties. And then I knew how to get a list of people in those areas. And I knew how to send them that postcard, the same postcard that we were just talking about for houses from 10 years earlier. And I knew I wanted to send them to a voicemail. But the difference was, now I was going to send them to a voicemail, and I was going to send them an offer before talking to them. And I figured out how to make an offer at 30 to 40 cents on the dollars. And so that's what we did with my sons. We started sending offers at 30 to 40 cents on the dollar. After the seller got our postcard, left a voicemail, or texted us, we would send them an offer and only talk to them after they got the offer. After they got the offer, we would then talk to them. And by that point, they really would want to sell, and they were at least in the right ballpark. So there wasn't ever any negotiating involved. And so with my boys doing this together, we did about $151,000 in profits doing land deals. And so then it was off to the races for me. My boys, we were only doing this very, very part-time, and, from a laptop on the kitchen table. They were busy with sports and with schools and all that. So their activity, it's funny too, because they still live at home. One's going to college to be a chiropractor, and the other one's going to be starting classes soon. But it's kind of a long story. And I'm going, that's a rabbit trail. They don't want to do real estate anymore because they don't like the idea of being home, sitting behind a computer. And I get that, right? They want to get out of the house. They don't want to do anything at home. So they, right now, where they're at is they're looking at other things because they don't want to do what dad does. I get it. But I bet you a glass of iced tea, fast forward 5-10 years after they're tired of the job, they're going to be like, Dad, can you help us with that land stuff again? Can we do some more land deals? But anyway, I started doing a bunch of land deals on my own. I brought on a dispositions manager. I partner a lot with other people on deals. I partnered with some people that do a lot of wholesaling houses. And I said, hey, listen, I know you're good at follow-up. You're good at making offers. You're good at negotiating. You're good on the phone. And you have funds to close on deals. Do you want me to do some marketing for you? And let's work on some land deals together, and we'll just split the profits 50-50. So that's what my business looks like today. I have a very small team. We do maybe 1 or 2 deals a month, land deals a month, not too many. I spend maybe 1 or 2 hours a week on that part of my business. The rest of my time is spent with my podcast, with coaching, selling my course. We sell software. We sell done-for-you marketing services. I do a lot of videos on YouTube and do a lot of podcasts. And that's how I spend. And I golf a lot. That's one of the KPIs that my team tracks is how many times a week I get to play golf.
Yeah, you got to schedule. Important. You got to schedule for your lifestyle. You know, someone told me that what success and wealth truly is you take your calendar for the year and you schedule your vacations and your lifestyle first, and then you drop work into the spaces afterwards, because most Americans do the opposite of that.
Yeah. You know, most of us have our job or our business in the center of our life, and then life fits in around that. We should reverse it, design a vision for our life first. What do we want our life to look like? And then build a business around that. And for me, I need to get exercise. I need to work outside. I need to get outside. I need to work out. And so when I golf, I walk 9 holes. And so it's great exercise. I get outside and it's my thinking time. I'm still working 30, 40, 50 hours a week, but I have to carve out that time to go play golf so I can think and not be such a crab, when I am working.
Yeah. My wife and I are working on that right now as well. I've been real estate retired for going on 2 years now. And I got to give some full disclosure to the audience here. I am in one of Joe's programs for land. And I've been following exactly what Joe says, despite my incessant urge to try to tinker and tweak. And my VA saying, well, why don't we just do this? We did this with houses. And I said, no, we're sticking to the program. And I told Joe before we got on here, I've got my phone ringing off the hook over here using your system. And I've already got sellers contacting me. I'll send you a screenshot of some of the text when we're done here. Yeah. So I've already got offers going out, and it did not even take but almost 2 weeks for my phone to start ringing. And so I was thinking this is going to be like houses with direct mail, where it's going to take months before my phone rings. No, that's not what happened,
so
Joe.
Much easier. And you just don't have the same competition for it. You don't have to jump all over, on these leads right away. And I was going to say something else. It'll come back to me. But like when it's so much easier than houses, you don't have to, you don't have to close in 30 days. You can close in 90 days. You don't have to, these sellers all own these vacant lots free and clear. So you don't have to worry about, if there's a mortgage on the property usually. And, a lot of them, they just haven't been out there in 10 years. Their dad bought it, their husband bought it, and they didn't even know he owned it until he passed, and they were going through the estate. And they just don't want it anymore. They don't care about it. And it's so much easier to negotiate big discounts with that. And there's always a huge demand for cheap property. So when we're going after land, we go after cheap land, not expensive land. We don't do any subdividing to it. We don't do any entitlements. We don't add utilities. You can if you want, but we just buy it cheap and sell it cheap, and are in and out within 1 or 2 months normally. Yeah. What markets are you going into, by the way? I'm just curious. What states?
There's a few zip codes in northern Florida we're targeting. There's some stuff in East Texas. There's some stuff in northern Arizona. And we had something in Oklahoma show up whenever we ran the numbers. Also, I'm glad you corrected me on this, Joe. When we first did our analysis, we found a bunch of desert squares in West Texas. And I told my VAs, I said, exclude this. This is worthless land. And you told me I should be like agnostic to the data. Like wherever the demand is, we're going to fill the need. Where people are buying and selling is where we're going to go. Doesn't matter what the dirt looks like. People want the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have to be careful though, that when you're going into those areas specifically, when you have to look at what is currently for sale. And so if you see a bunch of current active listings for like $5,000, there's no room to make a profit in there. Because when you sell your property, you're going to have to compete against all of that. So, I don't care. If there's activity there, that's great. You just have to be aware if there's already property selling for $5,000 or $10,000, there's not going to be a whole lot for you to make profit there. You're going to have to maybe offer $100, or instead of trying to shoot for $10,000, which I always recommend is your minimum, you might have to settle down and say, okay, well, I'm going to do these deals and maybe make $3,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And something else I've been looking at as well is like, what's like the sell through rate on something? Like if there's 10 actives, but 5 are selling a month, I know I can, if I price it right, I can probably sell it in about 2 months.
Yeah. I say it takes 2 to 3 months to sell a deal. But I always price it aggressively. I'm pricing those things from the gate as aggressive as possible. I don't want it to sit on the market. So I'm not going to try to price it high and then drop the price. I always price it aggressively. And I do more than just put it on the MLS. I'm sending that letter that we were talking about before to all the nearby investors. I'm getting on the phone. I'm calling realtors. I'm calling home builders. I'm calling the neighbors. If you can, put signs out in that area, and be as aggressive as you can. Put it out there on as many different websites as you can, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups. But and it all starts with making sure you're in a good market where there's already high demand. Because it's easy to get comps, it's easy to find realtors, it's easy to find title companies, it's easy to find lenders for their deals there. And go in an area where there's already high demand, because then okay, well, these people are buying these properties for this much money. For this, they're buying these properties for $10,000 an acre. So I'm going to sell mine for $9,000 an acre. And you should be able to sell it pretty quick when you do it that way.
Yeah, you can, once you look at the data or you have a VA look at the data, it kind of becomes clear to you if you have the right guidance, how you should be pricing this stuff. There was
I remember what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
It's a numbers game. It's just a numbers game, unlike houses where you're sending out mail. I know if I send about 1,000 postcards, I'm going to do a deal. I know if I send 15 to 20 offers, I'm going to do a deal. I was interviewing one of my students, Grant. He's down to, because he does a lot of follow-up, you make an offer. There's certain rules. Make an offer to every lead that comes in, send him an offer in the mail, and follow up every 30 days with every lead that comes in. And if you do that, Grant, for example, knows his numbers. He's been doing this for 18 months. He just quit his job. He's 39 years old. He's averaging like $30,000 a month. He knows his numbers. He has to send 600 letters and make about 12 offers to do a deal. It's just a numbers game. And you can't get that with houses.
No, you're missing a couple zeros if you're playing with houses.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I was doing houses with direct mail with houses, I was lucky if I got half of 1% response rate. Now we're getting 3 to 5%. I was helping one of our clients do some mail in a state up north, and he was getting 9.4% response rates on his mail. So it's just a numbers game. Send out the postcards, get the voicemails, send out the offers, call them back if you want, just send them an offer. And and there's some land investors that will they'll send out blind offers first. And that works, but I prefer the lead to come in and then you send an offer specifically for that property where it's at. Your success rate will be better with that. But it's a numbers game. Those people that send blind offers, they know that if they send 3,000 offers, they're going to get one accepted. So you're going to spend about, with land, maybe $1,000 in marketing to do one deal. If you're doing just direct mail, if you're doing direct mail, it's about $1,000. So at that point, all right, well, if I want to make $10,000 this month, I'm going to have to spend $1,000 to $2,000 in direct mail marketing. It's a pretty good ROI. And if you don't want to spend money on direct mail, that's fine. There's other things you can do if you don't want to do that.
Yeah, another thing I like about direct mail is that over the years, there's been a lot of changes in regulations with texting and cold calling. Yeah. And I did some texting and cold calling in the past, but nothing changes with direct mail, man, because some people argue this, but they say you're not soliciting anybody. You're offering to buy their home, and you're sending mail. You're marketing to them the way everybody else in the world does.
Yeah.
So I've had success with it since I began, and it hasn't changed. Where we're playing this arms race with tech whenever we do texting and cold calling. So I get poo-pooed on when I go to my local meetups and I talk about direct mail because everybody wants some fancy inside out SEO tracking, whatever system. And I just tell them, man, just send letters. Everyone checks their mail. Everyone checks their mail.
Now, some people will say, I just had somebody on the other day tell me this. They said, Joe, direct mail doesn't work, man. Every time I get any kind of mail, I'm opening it over the trash can and I'm throwing it away. I'm like, okay, you're right. It doesn't work. I mean, I don't know how I did these hundreds of deals, and I don't know how my students are doing hundreds of deals right now. I guess direct mail, you're right. It doesn't work. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, I don't know, like what to tell you. Just trust the process and do it because it works. Now, I was asking him, and this was another guy who was trying to do some postcards, but he was getting fancy with it. He didn't believe that the plain, boring, ugly, text-only postcards that I send works. So he decided to get cute and add a little logo, and add some fancy handwriting, and add some color to it. That immediately tells people this looks like spam. And this is why realtors waste so much money sending these really dumb pieces of direct mail and say it doesn't work because their face is plastered all over it and it's fancy and it's glossy and it's got color. You just need to be plain, boring, ugly text, right? It looks like a postcard from the trash company or utility bills or from the local election commission or whatever. So that's why we send the postcards we do. They're very plain and boring. They look professional. Like, I don't mean professional in the certain sense of like, but it just looks like, it does not look like spam, junk mail. And that's why our mail gets read. And yeah, we get, we're doing really good if we get only 2 to 3% of people that respond. And some that you may think that sounds really low. That's actually really good, especially when you compare it to houses. So I know if I send out 1,000 postcards, I'm going to get 20 to 30 calls. Okay. And I know I'll probably do a deal out of those 20 to 30 calls.
Yeah, no, 4%. That's insanely good. Compared to what I did in direct mail with houses. That is very good. So I want to give you a shameless plug here. Joe keeps talking about FreedomSoft. So if you want to get the system that he uses and I'm using for land right now, you go to freedomsoftjoe.com. I just tested it. It works.
Oh, good.
Yeah, freedomsoftjoe.com. That's what we're using.
There's another link if you want to freedomsoftnow.com. Sometimes because freedomsoftnow.com takes you directly to FreedomSoft's page to sign up. freedomsoftjoe.com takes you to a little webinar I did. But there's been so many updates and changes to it. I need to do a new video, but it does, if you're doing land, it does 99% of everything that you need. It's amazing.
Are you ready to get started on your real estate investing journey? Well, we put together free resources to help you get started. Check the link in the description.
Yeah, freedomsoftjoe.com is taken to the landing page. It's up. It looks great and allows people to sign up right there.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's what, we trust the process. I have other CRMs I've used in the past. I have other systems and processes, but I took one of Joe's programs and me and my VAs, I said, we're just going to do it exactly how he teaches it. And we're not even a month in and the phone is ringing and people are motivated and they want to sell us their land. So we're making offers and we're doing deals over here. Man, I wanted to kind of turn the page here a little bit. You said something about your kids not wanting to do what dad does. And that's totally understandable. When I was a kid, my dad had a swimming pool business, and I thought that was the worst thing on earth was running a swimming pool business. Now, as an adult, I kind of wish that business was still around because the margins were great. There's a local real estate investor here in town. Her name is Shanoa, and I'm friends with her, and she was telling a story about how she thinks she lost her kid around age 5 when the kid was like no longer excited to go in the car with mommy to go look at houses. And her son is now like 17 or 18. He just got his first car. And, me and my wife are about to start our journey of being parents. We haven't tried to have kids yet. God willing, we can have kids. We don't know if we can or cannot. But we're in a situation now where I'm real estate retired. She's out of school, and we can do it. And we are always having conversations about how do we get our kids involved in real estate without shoving it down their throats, where they still want to be involved, and without pushing them away. So do you have any real estate parenting tips for us, Joe?
Yeah, I still got a long ways to go. My oldest is 21 and 2 boys are 21 and 19, and my girls are 14 and 16. So I've never pushed anything down their throats. What's interesting though, is like, they've always really kind of seen me working from home. And I remember when they were younger, growing up, we would be with friends, and they couldn't believe that their dads actually left the house to go to a job. Like, they thought that was weird. They were like, your parents don't stay at home all day. So I think, the big thing is you can't push it down their throats, right? I always talk to them a lot. I talk to them a lot about there's two kinds of people in the world. There's producers and there's consumers. And so what do you want to be? And, not everybody has to be an entrepreneur. Like teachers, I think a teacher is a producer. But like, do you want to work for somebody else the rest of your life? That's fine, depending on what you want to do. But do you want to aim higher? Like, you should really think about being a small business owner. Like, being an entrepreneur is a great, awesome calling. It's incredible. And real estate is one of the easiest ways to get started. So my sons, they just wanted some extra money to buy a car. And so I said, all right, well, let's do this land stuff. And I took them with me to a boot camp, and they liked it. They got excited about land. And that kind of like fizzled a little bit, because then once we started doing the marketing and making the offers, the money didn't come in right away. So they were a little discouraged. I had to push them a little bit to do the work. So then what I did is I gave them a percentage of the profits, but then they were like, they had to wait maybe 2-3 months to get any of that. So I started then paying them hourly. So I think I was paying them 10 or 15 bucks an hour. And then when the deal actually did sell, I would claw back whatever I'd paid them. So let's say we made 10 grand, and their part of the profit, their 15% of the profit was 1,500 bucks, but I already paid them $500 for labor. I would just pay them $1,000. And that was really good money, really good money. But then fast forward, they're done with high school now. One of them wants to be a chiropractor, and they're looking at me, and we have a great relationship. My kids are all really smart, but they're also like, Dad, I don't want to be sitting behind a computer. They think that's what I do. And it is actually, I mean, when I am working, I'm behind a computer, but I think it's great because I get to work from home, where the coffee's good, is way better than it was where I was working before. The bathrooms are clean. My commute is like a 2-minute walk. So like, they have no idea what it's like, what it means to sit in, a half hour to an hour of rush hour traffic, or have to leave to get to work on time at 6 a.m. and they get back at 6 p.m. at night. They have no idea the value of $1, because right now Mom and Dad are paying for everything. My son just asked me today if I could help him buy some clothes. And I said, yeah, my 19-year-old. Because he's working. So he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. And they both want to be small business owners. They want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be like me in that, but they're trying to find their own business that they want to start. And, they're going to have to figure out, okay, once they're living on their own now, at a certain age, I started making them pay for their own car. I made them pay for half of their car, make them pay for their own gas, their own insurance. And, a couple of years ago, I started making them pay for their own cell phone. And now, one of my boys, I don't want to get into too much detail. But we've been trying to push him to get, to start working more and to get either a full-time job, or go to school or figure something out. And so we're going to start charging him rent in a little bit, because come on, I mean, you can't just sit at home and do nothing. We're not going to, give you everything for the rest of your life. We're trying to gently push him out of the nest. But he's a really good kid. It was super smart. We love him to death. But I'm seeing it where, okay, now rent is due, and he's already thinking, oh man, okay, so I need to work more. or I can't spend the rest of my life working at this one place. Like, and even if I wanted to be a manager at this place, they only make this amount of money. And so he's starting to realize how much it costs to live. And pretty soon they're going to realize, and by the way, both of their cars need a lot of work. They bought these old beat up cars. Well, I don't want to get into the details of that either, but they bought some cars they shouldn't have. And sure enough, fast forward a year or two, they need a lot of updating and a lot of work. And I'm not helping them pay for it. And they're realizing, oh man, every couple months, this new $1,000 repair bill for their car comes up. Now they're finally starting to realize that maybe dad kind of knows what he's talking about, because if I work 40 hours at this fast food place, or this other place where they work, then I'm only going to make this amount of money, and I need this amount of money to live comfortably. Maybe I need to figure this out. So having said all that, my one son's wants to be a chiropractor, which is awesome. And he can make good money as a chiropractor. He'll start his own chiropractor business. My other son is now starting to think of, I need to start working for myself. I need to have a side hustle. And so he's looking at other types of businesses, not real estate, like audio and video editing for podcast editors like you and me, and doing video for YouTube videos, graphic design, social media management. Because I was giving him the list of things that I hire people for. And if he had the skills to do it, I would pay him $5,000 a month to do this kind of stuff that I need done. That's $60,000 a year for a kid, right? And I told him, I said, these are the skills you need to have. You can go to community college to learn those skills. You can go online, watch YouTube. And as soon as you show me you have these things, I'll hire you and I'll refer you to all my friends. So now he's thinking already slowly, like, if I want to make some more money and be able to live on my own comfortably, and I need to start making more money. He hates college, doesn't want to go to school. He dropped out after his first semester. But I see him also as probably being very, well, I don't want to compare him with my other kids, but probably one of the more successful kids of my four, because he's going to figure it out. I don't know if that all makes sense, if that was too much information, but.
Brother, I love that. That's having kids and starting a family that's all that's on me and my wife's mind right now, besides doing real estate deals. I love that.
Well, here's the thing. Let me say this too. Because of the circles I hang out with, right? I hang out with a lot of other entrepreneurs who own their own businesses, work for themselves, and, pulled themselves up out of really, really tough situations and are now making a lot of money. And almost all of them have kids and they're dealing with the same thing, because they grew up, the kids, we'd go on nice vacations. We travel around the world, and we got a nice, huge house and nice big property. And, we'd never really, except for, 17 years ago, didn't have any financial problems. And, they grow up into that. They have to, it's not as easy for them as it was maybe for us, because we grew up with paycheck to paycheck. I lived in a trailer park, and my dad was a janitor. We would have sweet potatoes every day because it was so cheap and they were good for you. But I grew up eating sweet potatoes all the time because we couldn't afford, and maybe once every 6 months we'd go to McDonald's to eat out and be fancy, right? Like, so for me growing up, my dad didn't have to push me that hard. But that's the tricky part. Like, I have so many friends that are frustrated with their kids because they're just lazy, not working, playing video games all day, and aren't really ambitious because they don't understand the value of a dollar yet. And so the sooner you can kind of instill that hard work ethic in them, give them chores, make sure they're doing work, to live in the house that, and as they grow older, you give them more responsibilities, you make them pay for things, and pretty soon one of my sons, I told him, if you're not going to school part-time and working full-time, or going to school full-time, working part-time, and you want to stay here, you got to pay rent. It's been a little wake-up call for him, but that's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, I love that. I I had a construction job when I was a teenager, and I paid my dad rent. He didn't even ask for it. It just felt like it was the right thing to do, even though he would have let me stay without it. But, I have a similar background to yours, Joe. I mean, I come from a blue collar family. I don't have a college degree, even though I clawed my way up to a white collar job in corporate America, which I've talked about on other podcasts. And, when I was a kid, we had financial trouble. And then my dad had a swimming pool business. He had some success for a few years and then went right back into the financial hardships again. So I've kind of seen
Yeah.
both sides of the situation there. But man, everybody I network with here in Houston, and people, I'm in a multifamily group, and there's a lot of syndicators and other people around me, and their kids are just not hungry and ambitious like they are. So the best system we have right now is, I know a couple of real estate investors who've done very well with educating their kids. Is they said that we give them a list of chores as soon as they're old enough to do it, and we pay them. We put a bounty on it, said you can do it or not do it, but here's $5 if you do it. And whenever he pays them, whatever it is, $50, $100, he makes them put half of it into a Roth IRA. So we're stealing this system. I'm putting this out there so me and my wife don't forget to do this in the future. He makes them put half of what he pays them into a Roth IRA. The other half, they can spend it on whatever they want. And then it was kind of a backdoor trap into real estate, because he then self-directs the Roth IRA and uses their kids to partner or to lend or to get involved in
Yeah.
their
I
deals.
love that.
And so if
I would
anybody is,
I would change one thing. I think every kid should have chores that they have to do and not get paid for it. That's just part of being in the family. But could be chores extra that you pay them for. Maybe washing the car, um, cleaning the gutters, um, spreading new mulch on, but like things like dishes, mowing the grass, things like that have to be done every week, vacuuming, cleaning the bathrooms. I don't think we should pay kids for that. That's just part of being in the family that everybody has to do. And but again, find those other chores that are maybe extra that you still make them do, but they have you pay them for it.
yeah, I love that. There should be a baseline of you live here, contribute to the household type
Yeah.
situation. And
Can you
so
imagine your dad paying you to take the trash out?
that did not
No,
happen.
no. When my dad refused to get a garage door opener because I was his garage door opener, right? When we'd get in the car, it could be negative 20 degrees below zero in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, or Des Moines, Iowa, where I lived for a little while. And he would come up to the driveway, park the car, and I would get out, lift the door up for him so he could drive in, and then I'd close the door and lock it up, right? I mowed the grass. He didn't pay me for any of that. And so, and that's the other problem too, because my boys have grown up. We have like 3.5, 4 acres. And so I don't, I haven't mowed my own grass in 10 years. And so to do that, I'd have to buy a bunch of equipment. It would take me and my boys 5 hours to cut the grass and all that. So I've always paid somebody else to come and do it. So that's something I'm a little concerned about, that my boys maybe haven't had to mow the grass every week. Like I wish I could have made them, but they'd take the trash up a huge hill every week for me. So I don't know. Every kid's different, right? And you got to make sure that you're not pampering them too much. You're making
Yeah.
them work hard. You're teaching them the value of hard work, and you're also teaching them small business entrepreneurship stuff. Teaching them these things of like, be a producer or a consumer, and the value of a dollar. And I love this idea of taking some of that money and putting it into a self-directed IRA. When you give your kids some ice cream, give them a nice big bowl of ice cream and then take 30-40% of it away and say, hey, this is Uncle Sam, the government gets this and you get this. That's a good lesson to teach little kids.
I love that. I'm going to do that. I saw a meme on Instagram that called it the dad tax. Dad takes a bite of the food before he gives it to the kid. Said, "Hey, it's taxes, the dad tax." I'm going to start teaching them that. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down in my plan. Teach them
There's
34.
real quick, there's a good book you should think about looking into. It's called From the Tuttle Twins. I don't want to get political here, but these guys are libertarians, and they wrote some books for kids called the Tuttle Twins. I think that's what it is. And they teach entrepreneurship, small business, capitalism, entrepreneurship issues, and libertarian issues, where more government is not an answer. Less government is usually a better solution. And so I think that's what it is. Tuttle twins. Yes. Teaching kids to think freely. Introducing ideas that schools don't teach your kids. Teaching your kids about the value of a free society without political spin doctoring and without any kind of woke agenda. Teaching them American history, entrepreneurship, the evils of socialism, the golden rule, things, the markets, economies.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I'm going to take a look at that. The Tunnel Twins.
Tuttle, Tuttle.
Oh, the Tuttle Twins, not the Tunnel Twins. Got it. Yeah, and I just thought that was a neat way to backdoor your kids into real estate investing, is put in a self-directed IRA and then either have them lend or partner on your deals, and then show them closing statements, show them HUDs, teach them what's happening. And if that sounds interesting to anybody on here, DM me on Instagram. I'm at Michael B. Someone DM me the word IRA, and I'll get you connected with the people that me and my wife use for our self-directed IRAs. Cool. Another good, solid piece of advice that I've seen from the community I'm in, or the multiple communities I'm in here in Houston, is that you never give your kid a property. For some reason, these single family guys always want to put a property in their kid's name. And so the best system I've seen is where you tell your kids if they work on the property, they can get 10% of the cash flow and 10% of the profit whenever we sell the house. You never, ever put properties in kids' names, because they go to the military or they run off and get in trouble. Like, life happens. They lose interest in the property. They go to college in a faraway town. So never, ever do that. But, and then the cold, hard reality we got given by a prolific real estate investor here in Houston named Shanoa Grove is that she said that she's a fourth generation Texas real estate investor. And she said that she got a degree in IT or coding or something when she was younger. And she thought real estate investors were mean, nasty, evil people that took advantage of poor people. And she said it took until I was about 31 years old to come around and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, can you show me what you do?
Really?
And so she told me, you got to be prepared to lose your kids in this venture between age 5 and age 31.
Wow.
Because that's how long it took her. Yeah.
That's crazy. I think I remember my daughter saying one time to a friend, because she was asking, what does your dad do? And my daughter said, he's in real estating. He's a real estating guy. A real estater. That's what she called me. A real estater.
Verb.
Yeah.
A real estater. Yeah, I love it. Well, let's switch gears here a little bit, and let's move to the last segment of the show where I ask everybody the same thing. So, a lot of people I find in life, they think they're on a course of their own choosing in life. Our life, we are like a ship sailing in the ocean. And people who became either entrepreneurs or real estate investors, I found it's always a book that either changes their course and brings them into real estate, or once they're here, changes how they operate their life. So what book kind of changed your course the most here, Joe?
Oh, that's an easy answer. Profit First. And there's another good book that the same guy wrote, Mike Michalowicz, called The Pumpkin Plan. In terms of business books, those are the two best business books I've ever read. Pumpkin Plan and Profit First.
Not Pumpkin First and the Profit Plan, but Profit First and the Pumpkin Plan.
Yes, exactly.
I was looking for it on the shelf behind me. I can't find it, but I have that. I don't have Pumpkin Plan. I'm writing that down now.
Pumpkin Plan is really good because it helps as entrepreneurs. We're always chasing the latest and greatest, the shining objects, and it's easy to think, oh, I can do that. But the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody that finds something that works and then stops doing it and does something else. An entrepreneur is the only guy or gal that works 80 hours a week just so they don't have to work 40 hours a week, right? So entrepreneurs sometimes have ADD, ADHD, whatever. And so we're always like chasing the other things. And so this Pumpkin Plan book really talks about how to grow a big business by focusing all of your energies on just the most important things. And it's a great book. But then once you do that, you've got to understand profit first, because so many entrepreneurs have it. We have it backwards, where we take revenue minus expenses equals profit. And so we become checkbook business owners, where we're always looking at our checkbook and saying, all right, so that I have $6,000 in here, then that's what I can pay. I have $6,000. But profit first reverses it. And I'm not doing a good job just explaining this, but a profit first person looks at revenue minus profit equals expenses. So you always take out first out of revenue a profit, 5%, 10%. And then you take out your salary, and then you take out taxes, and whatever is left goes into overhead. And if you do that, your business will always be profitable. If you don't do that, you'll get into trouble, like I did. So when I got into, and I've done videos about this on my YouTube channel, but I got into a lot of trouble 7-8 years ago, where I was making a lot of money, but I was not staying current or up to date on my taxes. And I didn't have a lot of write-offs from real estate because I do a lot of wholesaling, and I sell education and software and services and things like that. And so I kept on filing extensions, and then I would finally do my taxes, and I owed a bunch of money. And then I'd start making a bunch more money to pay off my old taxes. And all of a sudden next year, my new taxes are due, and I'd file some more extensions. And I kept on digging myself into this big, huge hole. And I got into a lot of trouble. And then I had a come to Jesus movement, where the IRS guy agent, called me up and said, you need to come to my office right away. And I went there, and he threatened me with, you need to take this seriously, or else we're going to take your house. We're going to send you to jail, and we're going to put your family on the streets. So I had a, oh my gosh, come to Jesus moment. And I had that book Profit First, but I didn't really read it. So this time I actually did read it. And I hired an operations manager, because I'm not good at numbers. I'm not good at keeping my books and understanding all that. So I said, I got to get somebody else to do this for me. I gave her this book, and I said, I want you to implement Profit First 100%. And every dollar that comes in, we're going to take out profit. At the time, it was no profit, taxes and salary, and then whatever's left over. So anyway, it took me a while, but I cleared out that tax problem. Well, it's a long story, but I got it done in about 2 years. It would have taken, they gave me a 10-year plan, and I did it in 2 years. But after I started really implementing Profit First for real, and not just, a little bit here, it's made a huge, huge difference. Now I'm current on my current taxes. I don't owe any back taxes. And my taxes are always paid. It just gets done. It's taken out. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So anyway, Profit First is amazing. And Pumpkin Plan, both by Mike Michalowicz, really good books.
Yeah, I love that. I've gotten burned a little bit by taxes as well. Had some write-offs save me, but I've got it under control now. Have you heard of Relay Bank?
Yeah, they are a Profit First bank, kind of. I don't think they're owned by Mike Michalowicz or anything, but I did an interview with them, and it's a really good bank. It's so simple to create these buckets of different accounts, and doesn't cost anything extra to have all these different buckets. Most banks will not let you do what they do, and so it's amazing. Relay Financial is a Profit First bank. Yeah, I highly recommend getting that. I did not get an account there because I'd already had my other business account for 10 years and would have been just a hassle. So what we did is we opened up like 4 different accounts, and they're all connected to each other. And my bookkeeper, again, just takes care of it all. And she, she's amazing. She has saved my life.
Yeah, and for anybody listening, Relay Financial, Relay Bank, I use them as well. It's for business checking and business savings. So if you have LLCs, if you're a real estate investor, I highly recommend them. email support, everything's online in the cloud. Everything's so simple with them. I use them for all my different LLCs. They don't do personal checking, guys. So, but they are a profit first business. They'll help you set up. They also offer like an accounting service, a bookkeeping service. And when you're
Do they
just
really?
starting, yeah, they do.
I didn't know that.
I've never used it, but I've seen it on their website. And man, they're an amazing service, especially for entrepreneurs that are just getting started. If you just filed your LLCs and you're just starting to grow, they'll help you get started the right way. Wish I had an affiliate link from them, but I don't. I'm just recommending them because they are a
I used to have an
great
affiliate
service.
link with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, really good. I did a podcast with them and they kind of showed me what it is behind the scenes that they do. And it was amazing. I was like, I don't know why every small business owner does not use them.
Yeah. And it's just, I've had such trouble with LLCs in structures with like Wells Fargo and the big banks. And the big banks don't want your business. You got to find people that specialize in what you do. Unless you're dealing with tens of millions of dollars, the big banks don't want your business. I've always done business with local banks, credit unions, or these specialized cloud-based banks that kind of profit first driven.
Yeah.
But moving right along here, we are big believers in the Go Giver here, Joe, and I know you know what the Go Giver is. And so I like to tell everybody on every episode, if you think you're going to hold firewood in your hand and look at a fireplace and say, "Give me the warmth first, then I'll give you this wood," you're going to have a very cold winter. So I ask every guest in every episode, what can you give the audience today?
How about my book, Flip Dirt, Not Houses? You can get it for free. I asked my team to send me a link. And they did. Okay, so simplelandflips.com/book. You get it for free. Simple Land Flips book. Wait. What did I just say? Here it is. Yeah. simplelandflips.com/book. We're going to get a better URL here in a little bit. simplelandflips.com/book. And you get this for free. And it's called Flip Dirt, Not Houses, How to Create Monthly Cash Flow by Flipping Vacant Land in 5 Easy Steps. I've had people read this book. It takes you a couple hours. It's about 105 pages long to read. And I've had people who went through my whole course and then read the book and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Joe, why didn't you make me read this book first?" Because it really just simplifies the whole process and shows you in detail, but also at a 30,000 foot view, how the land flipping process works. You can buy it on Amazon for $10 or get it for free at simplelandflips.com/book. And if you want Audible, it is on Audible. I think it will be soon. We've been playing something with them, going on back and forth. They keep on saying that it's approved, but it's not. But it'll be out there soon. In fact, I'm looking right now to see if it is.
It's showing up on my Audible.
It is. It's on Audible?
Yep. And it's like it's discounted right now. It's
yes,
$4.86 right now on Audible.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I bought a copy. You offered to give me a free digital one, but I went ahead and bought the copy, and I'm going to be a total fanboy and have you sign it next time we're in an event together.
I got 15 reviews. I got 14 5-stars and 1 4-star.
Well, I'm going to take all the credit for that because I posted that all over my social media to go buy it and review it. So I'm stealing the credit on that one, Joe.
Yeah.
And I hope we will. So you have a workshop coming up, right? An in-person workshop?
No, but I'm going to be planning one soon. I about every year I'll do 1 or 2 workshops at Busch Stadium. We'll go watch a Cardinals game and do a workshop about vacant land. That's always fun. So I was thinking about that the other day. I might do that this summer. But I do frequently these 5-day challenges, where it's all virtual, and right now they're free, where for 5 days, I teach how to flip vacant land. And, it's a lot of fun. And I teach for about an hour and a half every day. If you want to see our next one, if you go to flipdirtchallenge.com, flipdirtchallenge.com, you might need to do a www in front of that, but flipdirtchallenge.com, you see the next one that I do. We started one today. We'll do one again later, either next week or the week after, but we do them frequently all the time. And they're a lot of fun. We basically go into this book, but break down every detail in the book into more detail, whatever. Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Right now it's free. So you go check that out. And I do have a program where I teach people how to do land. I do this thing called a business completion challenge, which is interesting. And in the challenge, I talk about it on day 4 in a special breakout session. So if you want to hear about my course, there's an extra session you can go to if you want to see about that. But that is a program where I basically refund you your money after you finish my course and make at least 100 offers in 6 months. If you can make 100 offers in 6 months, I will refund all of your money. And the reason I do that is it's one of the ways I do deals. And just, half hour before we started recording here, I was on a call with one of my students talking about a deal, and I might do it with him. I might not. And it's also one of the ways I get testimonials. So it's a great, I'm really proud of this program. I've been doing and teaching land for a long time now. There's a lot of other educators out there that are doing and teaching land. We're all teaching kind of, I almost said we're all teaching the same thing. We're really not, but there's a lot of really good programs out there. But nobody does this business completion challenge like I do. To date, I've refunded almost $700,000 in business completion challenges. And my goal is to do $1 million in refunds. And you don't even have to do a deal. I don't care if all of your offers get rejected. I'll refund all your money if you just try it. And I've had so many people tell me, listen, my wife was not going to let me buy another course, or my husband was like, no way. But then when I told them about your business completion challenge, they were willing to take the risk and do it with me. And they do deals. They partner with people on deals in the community. So if you want to get more information about that, get my book, simplelandflips.com/book, or join this 5-day challenge that I do at flipdirtchallenge.com. Again, you might need to do a www. But flipdirtchallenge.com.
Yeah, that is the most powerful offer in the real estate education space. And I know what that's like because I went through one of your programs and you did refund me, and we did the offer completion challenge. And
Joe,
nobody out there is doing anything like this. It's very powerful. So you get your money back, and the knowledge and skills you gain is on the house all along the way.
I have a Hall of Fame, I call it. And your picture should be up here. I'm going to look for it here. Did you send us a picture?
On the most recent one, no, I didn't. But you have one from Simple Land Flips from like 2022 or 2023.
Okay. Well, I'll look for it. That's awesome.
And the most recent one you did, I haven't got the picture turned in yet. But on his website, He's just got walls and walls of people posting the check when it comes in the mail.
Yeah, go check it out. joemccall.com/reviews.
I like how you send old school paper checks so people can post a photo with it. I love that. So, Joe, you've given a lot to the audience today. What can the audience give you to make sure we're all being good go-givers?
Well, man, I don't know. Maybe leave me a review on Amazon after you buy the book, if you want to buy the book. What is it, $10 for the paperback and $5 for the audio or something? I'd love to get some reviews. Subscribe. How about this? Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow that channel. I got 25,000 members. I've been real busy the last couple months, so I've only done a few videos in the last couple months. But like I tell people all the time who can't afford my program, I'm like, you just need to go to watch my YouTube channel because I give away so much information.
You absolutely do. I bought houses using free information from your YouTube channel that was 12 years old.
Yeah. So I do so much in there. I have this how to flip land in 30 minutes video that's getting a lot of traction right now. I just kind of cover the whole process. I interview people that are actually doing deals. If I had to do a deal in 30 days, this is exactly what I would do. There's also, there's so much in here that I give away. It's crazy. People are like, are you insane? So go check out my YouTube channel and subscribe. That would be a good thing.
Yeah, I've not my good friend Tom Kroll, and I know he's a friend of yours too, always tells me, I can hear it pounding in my head, give it all away, give it all away, give it all away. So I've not been the best go-giver because my YouTube channel does not, we're still producing a lot of the content, doesn't have a lot of the videos on the processes that I do, but man, nobody gives away more than Joe in this industry, man. You're giving away all the education for free on your YouTube. And then if you join the program and do the business completion challenge, you get your money back from the program. Brother, no one can beat that offer. No one can beat that offer. I mean, that's how you sold me.
Well, listen, it works. And I do a lot of deals with folks. And so sometimes, people who sign up for my program and get their money back, they might sign up for something else that I sell in the future. They might buy some software that I have. I get good testimonials, and I build goodwill in the industry. I have a pretty good reputation. I take it very seriously. And, there's haters out there, but like, I got a lot of people that, like what I do and believe in what we do because of the generosity that I've had over the years, and how much I've given away. So I take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, the real asset, brother, I think you hit it really well. The real asset is the people. Because we're not in a land or a house business, we're in a people business. And the real asset is the people. And you farmed up like an amazing community of people buying and selling and lending, and people inside your private Facebook group, which I'm a member of, so I get to see. You see people working together to do deals, and those people got their money back from their program from you, and they're out there creating this awesome community that you farmed up, man. You are a true go-giver, Joe. So, well, you kind of said it over and over again, but where can people find you? Where do you want them to start when they go look for you?
JoeMcCall.com, or go to my YouTube channel. I'm not big on the socials, but you can follow me if you want. I'm probably more active on Facebook than Instagram, but YouTube, JoeMcCall.com, or get my book at one of those sites that we just gave, simplelandflips.com/book, or join my next 5-day challenge at flipdirtchallenge.com.
Love it, brother. And everybody, if you want to see more from me, you can follow my Instagram at MichaelBeSomeone, and I give out my phone number on every podcast. So shoot me a text. Don't call me. I get all the same spam calls you guys do. It's 832-301-9672. If you have a house or a land deal you want me to take a look at, or if you have any questions about anything you heard here, shoot me a text. I do respond myself. It's not my team. It is actually me on the other side of that thing. This has been Michael Hoang on the Be Someone podcast with Joe freaking McCall, signing off.
Thank you, Michael.
Each week on the Get Wealth Show, you hear real conversations with investors, entrepreneurs, and operators who are building real wealth in the real world. If you're ready to start building wealth through real estate, click the link in the description for free resources and tools to help you get started. And if you want more practical, real-world conversations, follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. We'll see you next time on the Get Wealth Show.